This is Nasir Ahmed, teacher presently posted at Government Higher Secondary School, Sangaldan. And today I am coming up with a very, very interesting lesson for class 10th from English subject, and it is from the section short stories. It's a really interesting story, and I am hopeful, I am sure you will like the story very much, and it will help you from the examination perspective as well. Before announcing my topic, before announcing the name of the story, I want you to give a situation, and I also want you to think, to give it a thought for some time, and then come up with some answers, not to me, but to yourself. Situation is, have you ever borrowed something from your friend and you lost it? Or suppose you have borrowed something from your friends and you lost it. What will you do? Just give it a thought and listen to me carefully. My lesson is completely based on this question. And that's the today's lesson, that is the necklace. The necklace is a short story written by Guy de Maupassant. Before moving forward, I want you to give the brief sketch of Mr. de Maupassant. Born in 1850, Mr. de Maupassant is a French writer. He is often considered as one of the fathers of modern short story. Though he published many short stories, but the decade from 1980 to 1981 was the most fertile period of his life. He published his first volume of short stories with the title of La Messentrailer in 1981. But when he was growing as a writer, the death called him, and he died relatively at a young age in 1893 at the age of 43 years. 43 years is in fact a young age for a writer, for anybody else, even in this world. I will give you the brief summary of the story, as it will not be possible to read the whole text. The first and the main character in the story is Matilda Loisel, who is a young, beautiful lady, a young, beautiful girl, who is married to a pretty clerk. Pretty means he is married to a poor clerk. But she always dreams of having a luxurious life. She was an overambitious lady. She always dreams of marrying a rich man, having a big house, having cars, having luxurious life. But fate presents her otherwise. Fate gives her something else. As it happened, she was married to a clerk who was poor, who was from a middle class family. He was having a small apartment, a small house. The furniture of the house was poor. The walls were shabby, which all made her mentally sick and unhappy. But she had a rich close friend whom she often visits, whom she does not often, in fact, due to the reasons that once she comes back after the visits, she thinks how poor she is. She thinks how poor she looks when she was talking to that rich friend, and her friend was a Ma'am Foster. But she had a loyal husband. He wanted to make her happy. He wanted to see her happy all the time. One day, from the office, he came with an invitation card from the Minister of Public Administration, in fact from the Minister of Public Instruction, in which they both were invited to a grand party, and he wanted to give his wife a surprise that they are going to attend a party in the minister's office, at the minister's home. But surprisingly, his wife refused to join the party, citing the reasons that she is not having clothes, she is not having jewelry, she is poor. So it will be better for him to give this invitation card to somebody who is more richer than us, more richer by them in fact. But finally, her husband gave her 4,000 francs. Francs means French currency. To buy a new gown, to buy a new dress for her, which she readily agreed. But when the dress was ready, she again refused to join the party, citing the reasons that she is not having jewelry. She is having no jewelry at all. So here her husband comes up with an idea that she is having a rich friend, Ma'am Foster, and so she can borrow some jewelry from her. Here she again accepts this idea readily and decided to visit Ma'am Foster. Ma'am Foster readily offers her a box of jewelry. Matilda was overjoyed to see those necklaces, the jewelry, and after many picks and drops, she chooses one diamond necklace and came back to her house, to her home, to join the party. In the party, she was a grand success. Everybody liked her performance. The distinguished guests appreciated her. Even the minister came forward to shake hands with her. All this pleased her. All this gave her that much happiness. She was filled with passion and won the hearts of all. She looked elegant. She looked charismatic. She looked charming and attractive. Admiration and appreciation was poured over her like rain, and her happiness was beyond the boundaries. Her happiness was having no boundaries at all. She was delighted. She was filled with proud and success. She danced with passion, and all this was happening till it was 4 o'clock in the morning. In the morning, they came back. She came back with her husband to their apartment, where she sat in front of the mirror to see the last look of her beautiful looks. But as she was looking at her, she cried. Hearing the cries, her husband came running and said, "What is happening?" She said with the painful eyes, she said with the weeping eyes, that the necklace was not there. The necklace has been lost. Her poor husband looked here and there, everywhere. He looked back through the way, on the road. He looked everywhere he could, but it was all in vain. The necklace could not be found anywhere. But when it was the time for the necklace to be returned to Ma'am Foster, she tells her that the hook of the necklace is broken and it has been sent to repair, and it will be handed to her in a week's time. But in a few days, when the necklace was not found, they decided to buy the new one, which cost 36,000 francs. 36,000 francs for the family like Loisels was a huge money. Out of those 36,000 francs, 18,000 francs had been borrowed from a financier on huge interests, and it was to be returned in installments. Finally, they purchased a new necklace and handed it to Ma'am Foster. But when it was the time for the debt to be cleared, during this course of time, everything changed. They moved to a different house to live in, which was more shabby, which was more cheaper than the first one. The maid who was working in their house was dismissed. She was sent back. Ma'am Loisel did all the work at home. All the chores at home were done by her. Her husband worked overtimes. But finally the debt was cleared, and they were relieved to live a happy life again. But this has changed the course of Matilda's life. One day, when she was walking through the market, she met the same friend, Ma'am Foster. But Ma'am Foster did not recognize her. when she tells her that she is Matilda Loisel, Foster said, "Oh, ma'am, what have you done to yourself?" She thought there that when everything is final, when everything is cleared, she should tell her the story. When she narrated the whole story, Ma'am Foster tells her that, "What have you done? My necklace was not that of real diamonds. It was not worth of more than 5 francs. But I'm sorry, it was too late." This is the complete story of the necklace, of the short story necklace. It is important to discuss the theme of the story as well from the examination perspective and some characters. First, let me discuss the theme of the story. The theme of the story is in fact that one should be contented with what we have. One should satisfy with what life presents us. When we have not what we have, we must like what we have. When we have not what we like, we must like what we have. We must understand that happiness doesn't depend on material things. It depends on how beautifully we control our emotions and desires. It depends on how we limit and control our desires. Dear students, the main character in the story is Matilda Loisel, and I would like to discuss only this character, because from the examination perspective, this is more important than the rest of the 2 characters. Matilda Loisel is a young beautiful girl, young beautiful woman. She is overambitious. She desires to have a big house. She desires to have a luxurious life. Wishes to marry a rich man, but she is married to a clerk. She was not happy with what life presents her. She had to live in a simple house. She had to wear simple clothes and to have compromise on number of things almost throughout her life. Because when we don't have what we like, we must like what we have. This was the complete story for her throughout the life. But she was a bold lady, because when it was the time to pay the debts, she helped her husband. She worked day and night. She dismissed her maid and did her household chores by herself. She was a cooperative wife as well. She was hardworking, but she was overambitious. Dear students, we can say that the loss of necklace changed Matilda's course of life completely, because had she not borrowed that necklace, that diamond necklace from her friend, if borrowed, had she not lost it, and if lost, had she disclosed the story to her friend, everything might have been good. If not good, not that worse. Dear students, the question from the text, what was the cause of Matilda's ruin? How could have she avoided it? The answer of this question is already explained. Loss of the necklace was the cause of Matilda's ruin, and she could have avoided it had she not borrowed it from her friend, and if borrowed, had she not lost it, and if lost, had she disclosed everything to her friend, everything might have been, if not that good, not that worse in fact. Dear students, you can contact me for the things that have been left by me, that are yet to be explained, that are yet to be included in the lesson. But I tried myself as far as I could, and I will be always and ever available for you whenever it is needed. Thank you very much.